Welcome to the King James Virgin, where each and every week my friends Alan and Adam recount Bible stories from their childhoods to me. I've never heard them before. My name is Nick.
My name is Alan.
My name is Adam, and I'm drinking coffee from a cock mug.
It has roosters on it for listeners.
True.
I'm drinking coffee from a mug with a moose. Two moose.
Moose?
I think there's three.
Three, four. There's four moose.
They're multiplying.
They keep going around.
Careful, that's very close to count material, which, as you know, spooks me.
I will stop. I forgot about the story we're doing today, honestly.
No, when you texted it to me, I was like, oh shit. Right.
Yeah, and it's quite a good little 2-chapter story. A lot of weird shit happens.
Yes.
Bible. But I don't know why. It just popped into my head this morning.
Yeah.
And so I quickly read it while my kid was watching the Lego movie.
Ooh. Everything is awesome.
And it's a weird story. I kept texting Adam and be like, did you remember? And I'm not like spoiling it too much for him, because that's part of the fun. But I was like, did you remember this? And he was way ahead of me. He answered yes to everything.
Well, no, because I'm actually that thing. I'm gonna. It's first in the story, but I'm actually hold off on telling it to you.
Ooh,
but
this is the Adam cut.
Yes. I am mementoing this. I was gonna say Inception. It's like no, it's Memento. It's the other Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so do you want to ask Nick?
Yeah, Nick. So what do you know about Gideon?
Or anything related to the name?
I don't know anything about Gideon. I feel like, is there a whole version of the Bible that is a Gideon Bible?
You're like not wrong.
There's a book of the Bible that Mormons
Oh God, fuck Adam. No, there's the Gideon's International who leave Bibles in hotels. And
yeah.
But there's also, I think, a book of Gideon. That is,
really?
I believe that the Mormons include.
We need a Mormon on the show.
I'm definitely talking about the hotel one.
Yeah. They leave Bibles everywhere.
Yep.
Actually, my wife, who is a optometrist, fuck off. She has a collection of kind of a half rainbow above her desk. Of ones that they leave in her lobby.
Don't the colors mean something? Like they're left in different locations?
So yeah, before we get into the story, so she has she has 3 colors. She has white, which is for medical professionals.
I've never seen white.
That's because you're not
a medical professional.
She has light.
I grew up in the house of one.
She has light blue for distribution by auxiliary only. I don't know what that means, but she has a light blue one, and she has a burgundy, which is a personal worker's testament. Also, don't totally know what that means. I think they have like little forwards in the beginning, but there are. Let's see,
like the chicken soup for the soul, except for just
totally. I was absolutely just thinking that. Yeah,
except it's all the same.
Right. It's literally the exact same stories with a different
cover.
There's orange, green, red, camouflage. You can guess what that's for. Dark blue, white, light blue, brown, burgundy, periwinkle.
Oh,
there's not a black? I thought I've seen a black somewhere.
I think the dark blue is really black.
Oh, okay.
And that's other languages.
Oh.
It's printed in like 80 languages or something. Anyway, it's just a group that started in Wisconsin that their whole goal is to leave Bibles everywhere. One is left every like 3 seconds.
And is their movement born out of this story, or is there a connection here?
There's a little bit at the very end of the story where they're taking most of their impetus from. Well, I mean, I guess if you're the nation of Israel, it's a pretty big part of the story, but for the rest of us, we don't give a shit.
I'm going to read just one sentence from their like mission, which we'll discuss. Gideon was a man who was willing to do exactly what God wanted him to do. No, not at all. Regardless of his own judgment as to the plans of the results. As you'll learn in the story, that's not true.
No. The people he recruited, maybe.
Anyway, so yes, I thought that you might remember Gideon from that context.
Sure.
Just people who leave Bibles, as well as the Job 3:16, Job 3:16 from Mission Impossible, the first Mission Impossible.
Oh, nothing.
Oh, the first Mission Impossible hinges on this like weird cipher where they kept talking about Job 316, and there's this like weird moment that Tom Cruise is like tilts his head and goes, Job 3:16.
He's holed up in a hotel, like hiding from people,
Right.
and he sees a Gideon Bible
Like
on the
it
shelf.
does a rack focus from the computer screen back to the Bible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's silly.
And then so he basically like goes on to Alta Vista or something and leaves
Post in a chat room. as-
and writing like biblical things, and then he
Yeah.
meets with Vanessa Redgrave. That's anyway.
Wow.
I really liked that movie, but as you're like going through just that one scene, I'm like, wow,
That's not great.
that's rough.
Also weird like comeback. Vanessa Kirby's character in the last one, at least last one, maybe last two, is supposed to be Job's daughter. Like that's like an actual lineage if you're listening to the dialogue, and I never picked it up in the dialogue. It was just all.
Is that like MI 5 or 6 at this point? What are we at?
Oh, more than that, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think we're 6 or 7.
Somewhere in there. They stopped numbering and doing
The first
names.
Mission Impossible was the first and only movie I saw in one of those movie theaters with like super comfy, like recliner lounger seats.
When it came out?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Dang.
It was like a big fucking.
That would have been an
In
early.
Chicago?
Yeah, there was like one row in the back, and we knew one of the people that worked there, and so we got those reserved for like I think maybe even the midnight screening.
Holy shit.
And I don't remember anything about that movie.
You don't remember the
I remember the ceiling thing.
Yeah, okay.
Of course.
The shattering. And then the red light green. They don't remember red light.
I was going to say the gum.
or the gum. The red light, green light.
Nope. Nothing.
Fish tank.
This is definitely taking a turn.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
I probably, as a
Brian
13-year-old,
De Palma. Like it's like not a.
I watched that movie and Dumb and Dumber over and over and over again, which is a weird combo.
It's
is a
like
weird
Dumb
combo.
and Dumber is a perfect palate cleanser for anything.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
the story of Gideon.
Gideon is one of the judges. If that helps you kind of put it in the context of where we are in history.
Okay.
We're just post Deborah.
Or Deborah, depending on how the Deborah.
Right. Yep.
Do you remember that debacle?
Who sat under her own tree, also named Deborah.
Deborah.
Yeah, right.
Deborah under Deborah, I think is where we landed on. Anyway, so yeah, she's gone, and Israel is kind of like waffling because apparently Israel just waffles, and that's the only time they wrote stories about them is when they were waffling.
I mean, I said I was going to try not
Yeah.
to stop you as much, but I feel like, I mean, you know what the first sentence of this story is. Then the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord.
Yeah.
So the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian for 7 years.
Right.
It's like every story in Judges.
I forgot it was
starts
Midian and
exactly-
Gideon. Like it was just a weird. So the Midianites are another tribe around there, presumably have them oppressed. And Gideon has a thing that happens, and I'm going to come back to it later.
yeah.
But a thing happens, and he gets the impression that he needs to rise up and fight the
I'll
Midianites.
put a memento sticky note on my forehead
Thank
or
you.
something.
Perfect. Exactly. Like if you can get a tattoo somewhere that just says,
Gideon does something.
yeah, Gideon does something.
John G. raped and murdered my wife.
Yeah. Correct.
Right?
Oh, is that from the movie?
Yeah. That's the
the-
key
Yeah.
piece. And then he keeps filling in the different John G's. Spoiler for Memento if you haven't seen the movie that came out 20 some years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh God, I'm old. I just realized like Memento came out a long time ago. So he then basically has a crisis of faith and goes, I don't trust that I understood correctly. I'm going to ask God to give me a sign. And what I want is I'm going to take this fleece, this chunk of wool, and leave it overnight. And God, if you want me to do what I think I'm supposed to do, I want to come out tomorrow morning and it to be wet from dew and all the ground around it to be dry.
Okay.
Correct.
Cool.
And so that happens. And he's like,
Cool sign,
yeah,
man.
cool move, dude. He then goes like, you know what? I didn't quite think this through because wool could have soaked up the water and the ground could have dried from the sun.
Absolutely.
Right. It's
My
like-
first thought.
Right, exactly. So you know what? I'm going to reverse it. And he's like super apologetic, like, God, I'm really sorry. But you know, like
The neighborhood kids could have just peed on the wool.
right, I messed up. We want to do the exact same experiment, but inverted results. I want the wool to be, the fleece to be dry and the ground to be wet with dew.
He does say to the angel, now don't be angry with me.
Oh, is he still talking to the angel for this whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I thought he was like just praying for that. Okay. So, and
I mean,
then,
God, I guess.
whatever. Anyway, he does it. Next morning, comes out and he's like, "Well, fuck it. This is a sign. I've got all my
Because it comes to pass that the wool is dry.
correct. I'm sorry. Yes, the wool is dry. The ground is wet. It all works.
Great.
I'm now going to tell you what the first thing that happened was.
Okay.
The first thing that happened is an angel of the Lord came to him, told him that he should attack the Midianites, and then fucking fire broke out of a stone and shot into the sky. How does that not give you a much bigger impression that something supernatural has happened rather than fucking wet wool?
He really,
as a kid, this story just like, what the fuck? Like, you went from like, I had a crazy traumatic existential experience, and then I asked him to do something that like anybody could do. Like,
yeah.
It's like you blew your entire load of special effects in the first act, and then like for the last 2 acts you had no money, and so all you did is just had like a couple of Matchbox cars just like bumping into each other. God, this story pisses me off.
Oh, and it gets better.
So he then, like, after the whole wool debacle is like, I'm all in, and goes to, and I can't remember the tribes. One of them is Zebulon, because I love Zebulon.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But I don't remember, there's more tribes that he goes to.
So Gideon is from the tribe of Manasseh. These are all like
Manasseh's like, these are
all like C teams.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is not the A or B team.
And so he sent messengers through Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali.
Okay. And you remember these are all Joseph's brothers? If that,
Okay. That great.
But these are all like little tiny baby.
Yeah, these
tribes.
are the tribes that don't ever do shit.
Sure.
Anyway, he pulls together like 20-some thousand people.
30.
Oh. Okay. He gets 30-some thousand people to come to attack the Midianites. And he's like, awesome, great, we're ready to do this. And God then goes like, actually, no, I want you to ask the people who are to raise their hands if they're afraid. And so he goes like, all right, how many of you guys are afraid? And about a third of them raise their hands.
Okay.
And
God is saying this because with 30,000 people, the Israelites could be like, oh, it was actually us who won the battle. And God is like, no, I need you to know that you guys were pathetic and that it was me who won the battle.
I had to dig you out of this hole.
So 30,000 is too many, sends them home.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
He sends about a third of them home, just basically says like, you're afraid, go home.
20,000 go home.
Right.
10,000 remain.
Okay.
So that's two-thirds.
Sorry, I thought it was the other way around. So he sends 2/3 of them, and then there's only one more test, right?
That's
Okay.
like that's an epic game of telephone too for
Right?
that many people. Like he said, raise your hand if I what?
Are you scared? Am I
I think
scared?
we'll go home if we raise our hands.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Raise your hand.
If we want bread,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
want
hungry.
that. Yes, please.
I'm going home.
Wait, we're all leaving?
I just got here. All right.
And it turns out like all the people in the back are the ones who
Left.
Like, I guess yeah.
We're done. It was a false alarm.
The people who can't see the people
And then,
behind
like,
them
yeah.
are the ones. Oh shit!
Right, and then like 2 months later, they hear the news. Like, wait, what? So anyway, the other left, they're then training. Like, in my brain, I see like
Montage.
but like montage of like
that doesn't surprise me.
of like
knowing you.
Of like basic training drills. Like they're like under barbed wire, like crab crawling and like going up and over walls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously like the let's get down to business.
exactly.
It's the Mulan training
The Mulan
montage.
training sequence.
I watch a lot of Disney movies right now.
So all that's happening. And God's like, still too many. And so he goes, I got a new thing. What I want you to do is observe the men as they get to the water to get their drink. And this is the thing that Alan actually texted me about, that like,
I was like, holy shit, do you remember this part?
because the way I was told to me and the way apparently the way it apparently is different and makes a difference. He basically, so I'm going to tell him the way that I was told.
Yeah.
Right? So basically he said, watch the people, those who come up and kneel and then start and drink, like for like take their time essentially, send them away. Those who just grab a scoop of water and keep going, those are the ones that I want you to attack with.
Which is exactly how I was told.
And the rationale behind it being basically it was like a laziness or like or what's it like when you're like a loyalty factor. Like I'm so disciplined and so like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not loyal or applied, but like I buy into this so strongly that I'm not going to waste my time to kneel and take a drink of water. I'm just going to grab a glass, throw it in my face, and just keep going.
But it's also very much like the middle school thing of like, how do you look at your nails? Do you look at them where you fold your fingers over, or do you look at them far away? Because if you look at them far away, that means you're gay.
Right.
And also go home.
Go home.
Go home.
We don't want you for our army. You can't be an army.
Right. You can't army with us. So they send all but 300 of them home.
Okay.
Is the gist.
Yeah.
Do you want to jump here and tell you what it actually says?
Well, there are different versions. So the New King James that I'm reading from, it does say, and the number of those who lapped, and the versions say like a dog. This one does say by lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, but it's still like.
But lapped like a
Lapping
dog
involves the tongue.
Yeah,
no matter
it's
how
like-
you put it.
Here's what, this is a different thing. Like this isn't a commitment time and like a time efficiency thing. You wanted the 300 crazy ones, the ones who like.
Oh, so we're keeping the people that lap.
Correct.
Oh, that's
so, like,
weird.
The people who drink normally, send them home, but the people who like face planted into the water with and then like jumped up and ran, those are the ones you want.
I mean, yeah.
Like
They want berserkers.
yes, they got the guys who are nuts.
Yeah.
Anyway, then on, basically the tactics actually get kind of interesting to me. As a kid, I remember actually going like,
The story is less weird, except one detail, but the story is less weird from here on out.
Yeah, so basically what Gideon makes the best of it. In my brain, what Gideon did was like, I only have 300 people. God has whittled down what was
Who don't know how to drink water.
Who don't know how to drink water. And it was a reasonable force now to 300. And we need to take on this presumably larger than 30,000 person army, presumably.
It doesn't say,
But you know what I mean? Like it has...
I assume big.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he gets... And he basically says, what I'm giving each of you is a torch under a vase, a clay vase, to hide, basically be able to move the torch around, but not like at night.
Which is not how fire works.
No, it would have.
Right.
Like at all.
I know there's a few things wrong with this story, and a horn.
Trumpet specifically.
Yeah,
Doo-doo-doo.
maybe a shopar, maybe shopar. What's that fucking ram's horn?
It likely was that. I mean, it wasn't like a brass instrument, but
No, it wasn't.
And then
Miles Davis out there like,
Boom, 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 boom.
I brought my French horn. It just says trumpet.
okay, so bring your horn, and your stick in a bucket, flaming stick in a bucket, and they then surround the camp, and they basically at the same time are supposed to remove their torches all at once and start yelling.
Okay.
Or are they supposed to horning?
So here's the thing. They're blowing their horns and they're shouting. So I'm confused by that.
Is essentially what they heard.
It's the same sound they all make while they're lapping up water.
Correct.
Adam, do you remember what they shout?
Is it something like "The Lord is my Savior" or like something shitty like that?
It's cheesier.
Oh, let's get down to
The sword of the Lord and of Gideon. It's
Oh.
fierce.
Yeah, not very threatening.
Well, I mean, we didn't know how those nuts. Like, it's the dirt. He got the dirty dozen, so maybe they just sounded crazy.
Sure.
I mean, stick to the trumpets.
Anyway, so basically, the idea is that with 300 men surrounding the camp, they're supposed to feel like more than
At night.
300.
I feel like we should have specified this is
Sorry,
at night.
I assumed that.
I figure with the torches.
Yeah, middle of the night.
They're
when they're all
day
asleep.
torches.
Also,
Yeah,
didn't
well.
Gideon like sneak into the camp somehow?
So earlier he was nervous about this, rightly so. He has 300 crazy dog lickers, and it's presumably big. So God tells him to sneak into the camp, and I'll provide something.
Yeah.
And he
overhears people
God
talking.
said, "Let there be recon."
Yeah. Yeah, and
there was recon.
there was recon. And he put on his Sam Smith goggles and like,
So he goes down with his servant, probably slave, into the camp and overhears a guy who had a dream. And the dream is, to my surprise, a loaf of barley bread tumbled into the camp of Midian. It came to a tent and struck it, so it fell and overturned, and the tent collapsed. Then his companion answered and said, "This is nothing else but the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. The hand of God has delivered Midian and the whole camp."
this is some real bad defectors, apparently.
Yeah.
And so he heard that.
So a
was
loaf
like,
of bread knocks a tent over?
In the dream.
That's a good loaf of bread.
That's
I
a great
agree.
loaf of bread. So anyway, they basically,
barley bread.
yeah, so dense.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
to me, that's so weird. Like that, this guy had a dream about bread,
and then
and
the
then
other guy.
and then the other guy's like,
Is
"That means
retelling
we're gonna
it."
lose the battle."
Yeah,
Yeah. So middle of the night, they break their pots, lights come out,
Yeah.
blowing their horns and shouting apparently. And chaos ensues enough to the point where the Midianites are so confused and think they're so overwhelmed that they flee and run away and abandon their post. At which point I believe it's like another montage where he goes through and just like murders a bunch of leaders.
So it's hard to understand. It says both that the whole army ran and cried,
Right.
But then also the Lord set every man's sword against his companion throughout the whole camp.
Oh, right. They started like fighting each other because there was confusion.
That's what it was.
Yeah, they started like running, fighting, and like stabbing anybody. Sure. And so like they killed themselves. They ran away.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I was confused, but that does sound familiar.
Right. The gist of it, like this is kind of usually where the retelling in either Sabbath school or church or whatever, or Sunday school if you went to Sunday school, that's kind of where it would end typically. But like, if I remember, like the idea is, and he then goes and like ransacks Media, as well as like
it's really, it more just inspires uprisings around the whole area.
Got it. But he then like kicks the followers of Baal, because I don't remember like Baal is big bad God.
Yep. Baal's back.
Kicks Baal out of Israel.
Yeah.
And then they have like 40 some years or something of peace until Gideon dies, and he has an important son, but I don't remember who it is.
So you're right. It's 40 years. Exactly. Okay. Nailed it.
I said 40 something.
And what's a funny like side detail
everything's
is
40.
He made it says an ephod. It's an important thing.
Oh, isn't that like the thing on the
yeah, it's like an important thing.
It's like the chest piece on the high priest's garment.
But he made it out of the gold won in battle, which eventually caused the whole of Israel to turn away from God yet again because they worshipped it. Hilarious. But yeah, his son is Abimelech.
Oh,
hell yeah. Abimelech.
Not Abimelech. Abimelech. This is the other one that I was like,
oh, right. Yeah.
It's like, I couldn't remember which it was.
From one of his 70 sons, because he took many women as wives.
Oh, so we don't have a problem with that. Just Baal worship right out.
Well, you got to draw the line somewhere.
Right. And yeah, so that's basically the story of Gideon. Is he took a bunch of crazy Israelites and conquered the nation by confusing them with fire and trumpets.
So a couple things you missed. They were being oppressed, which meant that like the Midianites would just come steal all their food. They weren't like slaves or anything. Sure. If they saw food, they would take it.
They're just bullied.
They would leave no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep nor ox nor donkey.
Can you eat?
Makes the bread nightmare more relevant.
Sure.
A thing. Yeah.
Also, are they eating the donkeys?
I mean, they're just taking them.
Okay.
And so when the angel comes to Gideon, I don't know if you remember this, Adam, he is thrashing his wheat in like the pit of a wine press.
That's a euphemism.
In order to like hide it from the Midianites.
Wait, hold on. So the Midianites will take the wheat if they see it threshed in a thing, but they won't take the wine?
Well, I imagine it's just like an abandoned wine press.
Got it. I just love the idea. It's like, I'll do the wheat here because they won't take the wine.
I think it's setting it up that Gideon's just like a dude.
Yeah. He is just a dude, if I remember right.
Do we get any cool descriptions of the angels? The angel that comes down?
He sits under a terebinth tree, specifically, which is like...
That's a weird detail, like, because there's been multiple times in the Bible when the defining characteristic is what tree they sat under.
Yes, belongs to the cashew family, native to Iran and the Mediterranean region.
Sounds delicious.
That also tracks as being locally possible.
Possible, yeah, but they do specify the tree.
If they're like, it was a cedar tree.
Yeah.
Hey.
And so the angel comes to him and says like, hey, you're going to lead a bunch of people against the Midianites. God chose you. And Gideon's like, I'm just a guy.
Threshing wheat.
Like, I remember that God was amazing and led us out of Egypt, but I haven't seen him lately. So prove yourself. And this is where the angel says to put a sacrifice on a rock. So he prepared a young goat, unleavened bread, and an ephah of flour. I feel like we've gone over that unit of measure. Is that what, like 42 eggs?
Yep, 42 point something.
Yeah, like 42 and a half eggs. The meat he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and he brought them out.
Wait, broth was not in the initial... He just added broth then?
He added broth.
Okay.
I mean, he's making a stew.
Yeah. But he also put the meat in the basket.
The angel's like, you're going to make me eat all that dry?
Well, he had to take it to the terebinth tree.
I see.
So he took it to the terebinth tree.
Well, why didn't you just put it in the bowl with the broth?
Hold on.
Okay.
He took them separately to the terebinth tree. And the angel says, take the meat and the unleavened bread and lay them on this rock and pour out the broth.
Turns out it doesn't like, not a broth.
Yeah, what a bummer. It's like, I didn't ask
Bring it. No,
it does feel like I didn't ask for broth.
Yeah, it's like, like, I didn't want this en jus. What
and then the angel of the Lord put the end of his staff that was in his hand. Duh.
I mean, it's indicated it's not his dick.
He touched the meat. He touched the meat.
It could be.
And fire rose out of the rock and consumed the meat and the unleavened bread.
Fucking fire for rock, man.
Yeah, that's good.
And the angel disappeared, which is also cool.
Both those two things are significantly better than I left some wool out.
Yeah. I mean, if you are living in a time with no television, that's going to have an effect on you.
Seriously.
Fully.
Like,
if you spend your days doing nothing but threshing wheat,
right.
That's going to make an impression.
Fucking people today, we have virtual reality, we have television, we have like deep faking for that matter. But like the one time you had sleep paralysis and saw like a hazy outline of a person because your brain manifested your paralysis as like a fear thing. Like people live with that shit for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
A guy brings fire out of a rock. This story just.
A lazy dude under a tree tells you to bring some meat and bread, dump out the broth, and then makes it explode. You remember that.
And he disappears.
And he disappears.
Yeah.
In a cloud of smoke.
And then you go, I really just want some wet wool.
Yeah.
Well, so then Gideon's so impressed that
dry wool.
Well, wet wool, then dry wool.
Right, yeah.
He basically tears down an altar of Baal and makes an altar
with his teeth,
a separate altar. Well, he gets some like dudes in with it, and then sacrifices a bull, and then everyone's mad
because he wasted the one bull that they had that the Midianites hadn't taken.
Well, his dad is like, no, I'm still cool with Baal, you guys. Like, please don't kill my son. And he then we get into the fleece, which was exactly how Adam said. Boring.
Just anticlimactic.
Yeah.
And then we get into the 30,000, then 20,000, then 300, which it again is exactly. I feel like actually at this point Adam did pretty well. They do.
I checked in a bunch. Though.
They do specify. They do specify that the torch is in the left hand and the trumpet's in the right hand.
You mean torch hand and trumpet hand?
Only worshipers of Baal would dare blow a trumpet in their left hand.
Right.
So I assume
left-handed trumpet blowing definitely sounds like euphemism.
So like this 300 people also like would all have sheaths, or did they set their swords on the ground?
Maybe they just didn't have swords. Swordless.
But they all had jars, torches, and trumpets?
Correct.
It is also like, that's a burden to carry.
It's a lot of stuff.
A torch with a pot on it.
By the way,
is a lot.
One thing we didn't mention either, the Gideon's logo is literally a vase with a torch in it.
Oh.
Just
yeah.
that, but
I mean, that makes sense. They're like literally based on this story.
But here's the thing, like, where in this story do you get, like, how do you draw the correlation between, because also Gideon really didn't, like, as we said, like, he questioned God 3 times.
And so 2 guys in Wisconsin were like, I think this story is telling us to leave Bibles in hotels.
Yeah. And
I'm pretty sure.
And every dentist's office that we've ever go in.
Yeah. Pretty sure, you guys.
Real weird.
It's real weird.
But it's kind of a cool little story.
Do you have any idea if like the Gideons are like a big organization, or is this like a pretty marginal group in Christianity?
Well, I mean,
they leave a Bible somewhere every 3 seconds.
So I would say within Christianity, they're relatively, well, I should say within Adventism, our interaction was purely in finding like Bibles in hotels.
Yeah.
I didn't they never approached, I was never.
Sure. Yeah. They're the thief in the night.
Right. But I think internationally they are a pretty damn big organization given their reach.
I can't think of like seeing a Gideon church ever.
It's not. It's just a club.
Yeah. It's like purely just an organization that.
Oh, I see. So you might be in church with like
other
some pocket Gideons.
Sure. Yeah. There might've been people who, and maybe do you just get like a pallet of Bibles delivered to your house and then you just take it upon yourself to deliver them?
I don't know that. It does say, Wikipedia says there are about 250,000 Gideons worldwide, and membership is limited to current or retired business or professional men aged 21 or older who are members in good standing of an evangelical or Protestant church. Wives of Gideons may join the Gideons International Auxiliary.
Oh, so there's the auxiliary.
So that's what the auxiliary is.
So they have their own special color. If you're a lady, you're an auxiliary member.
You get a pink Bible and you get to.
It's blue. It's light blue.
Oh, well. I mean, I guess going against type, but
well, men can leave a bunch of different colors. Women can only leave
blue.
Light blue.
It's a really interesting. I mean, I will say, I've been in a privileged amount of hotel rooms, and
There's always a Bible.
There's always. I've yet to be in a room where there isn't a Gideon Bible. Which, I mean, I'm assuming. That,
also weird that hotels don't just remove those.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Or I'm assuming they don't add them. Like I'm assuming that there's not like, the pallet just shows up to a Hilton Gardens and they just housekeeping just puts one in everywhere. I'm assuming that there actually has to be a person that stays in that room.
Dude, recruiting housekeeping people though to be Gideons.
None of them were. They're
not professionals.
Motel 6 though goes full Baal and just the book of Baal.
No,
in
there's
every
just a golden calf right behind the TV.
Yeah, there's actually just carvings of Baphomet behind every behind every pastel picture.
Blue carvings if an auxiliary member left it.
Can you imagine going into any hotel room and on the floor there being a Baphomet just cut out of I would be so fucking happy.
The fucking Baphomets were here. Yeah.
There's been 5 Supreme Court cases about leaving Bibles in schools.
Wow. Well, sure. I thought you were going to say hotels, but okay,
about
great.
Whether they're allowed to or not.
They are not. Well, they shouldn't.
There's been 5.
Yeah. Anyway, Gideon.
I feel like definitely more people have heard of the Gideons than
Gideon. It's a good name.
It's
also
fine.
I mean,
it's fine.
Chad exists. I mean, Gideon.
At least they
And there go all of our Chad listeners.
Shout out Chad listeners. I don't know.
So Alan's a Chad stan, and I'm a Chad anti-stan. What is an anti-stan?
Just Eminem.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's a name that is less connotated.
It's not Abimelech.
Slavery and rape.
That's true too.
Well, here we go. A shout out to all of our Abimelech fans.
Yeah.
Please write in. And again, if you're a Mormon and know something about the alleged Book of Gideon, please.
Or if you are a Gideon, ex-Gideon.
Oh, yeah. Or had a parent who was a Gideon.
Auxiliary member.
Know anything more about the Gideons?
Yeah,
please
tell us more.
Dear Jesus at kingjamesvirgin.com. Send us a voice memo. You
can do it anonymously even.
Yeah. If you're
one of those pocket members.
If you don't say your name, we won't put it in.
Yeah.
Give me a thank you. I don't know if we need a
thank you.
Yeah, could you say thank you?
Thank you. You need another read of that. Let me do one for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. After you give me, and we're back.
Thank you. And we're back. And we're back here on the King James Virgin.
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us at KJVPod on both Twitter and Instagram to keep up with what we are doing. And we want to see our Spitting Jesus Lizard sticker everywhere. So we've reduced its price to just $1 plus tax, but shipping is included in that. So if you'd love some awesome Nate Marcel artwork of blasphemous imagery, head over to kingjamesvirgin.com to pick up a sticker. Thanks to Mascaras and Resurrection Records for the use of our theme song, Kixati, off the album El Moran. And this week's Resurrection Records artist is Honey Badgers. So stick around for that. There are links to, you can listen to the podcast on our website. You can listen to the music from each episode on our website. You can see weird press things and bio shit. There's a lot of cool stuff on our website. So check it out at kingjamesvirgin.com.
That'll do it for us this week. Until next week, trust the flaming rock. Fuck your wool, fuck your broth, and don't drink with your tongue.
No, that's just gross.
I'm sorry, but do you have $1 I can't have? Excuse me, did you know I can't work 'cause I'm slow? I'm sorry, but can you spare $1 for bus fare? Please give me free money, 'cause working is for dummies. Please give me free money, 'cause working is for dummies. I'm sorry,
produced by Sonic Bazaar.